Hello, right, so a couple of people requested that rather than on an ad hoc basis where I just tell people how I run my kit on a trip, I do a video on precisely how I set it up so that everyone can see how I do my sort of thing. This isn't a sort of the best way to do things because my kit changes and I'm not the greatest at this, but it's more to sort of give you guys some inspiration on what you can do and explain the rationale behind where my shit is and why it's there. So I'm going to try and work top to bottom and I'm going to try and be pretty brief. Might as well go with the helmet. So why do I wear a helmet? Well, I don't like being smashed in the head by guys throwing BFGs over arm FMA. So the helmet helps break up your head and makes you slightly harder to spot. So it helps you camouflage as well. And it's actually a really important factor because potentially the most important element that you want to camouflage is from your shoulders up, because when you're prone, when you're going around a piece of cover or going over a piece of cover, it doesn't matter if your legs are the most camouflaged things in the world, that's not what's going to give you away, it's going to be your head. So I'd recommend wearing a helmet for safety and also for concealment. Moving on to my helmet cover, I have a helmet cover that I put together myself. And it is made from simply a M81 old US Army shirt that I ripped up, unbolted the side rail panels, unbolted the NVG mount, the night vision mount there, stretched the material over, pinched it on the corners so it sat nice, bolted the stuff back on and then trimmed it, and so I have a fabric helmet cover. Then later I did exactly the same thing and stretched scrim net over the top. Why is it important to have a helmet cover? Well, yes, the helmet helps break up the line of your head and helps conceal you in that way, but what you can end up doing is making it worse for yourself because you've got a nice shiny bit of plastic on your head, and as it's rounded, the sun will hit that at some point and point it towards whoever you're trying to hide from. So if you don't have a helmet cover that's a nice sort of matte fabric, then you're going to give your position away. It doesn't matter if your helmet has a printed pattern on it, that looks really cool, but it's still going to shine off the sun and that's what they're going to see. A simple olive or just flat colour is better than a printed pattern. So absolutely get a helmet cover if you get a helmet. You can make your own like I did for next to nothing, or you can buy some pretty cheap ones for maybe a $5 or something like that. The reason for the mesh is to look cool, because otherwise there's no reason to play Airsoft or do anything if you don't look cool. But in addition to that, it provides 3D camouflage. So it provides an extra layer and it actually creates real shadow on the helmet. Black, there is no black in nature, but black on camouflage is trying to emulate shadow because you will have that sort of darkness in your environment. However, better than that is to create real shadow, and so you can do that with a 3D helmet cover, just having some extra material on there. You can put shit through it and go super duper camo, up to you. I like it slick as the way it is, but yeah, that's how I run my helmet and cover. On my helmet I run my revisions with thermal lenses. I won't go too much into those, best goggles you can get. Really, they don't fog, remove all the foam, and they really shouldn't fog. I attach mine to my helmet with these Velcro tabs. Now if you buy a fast helmet, you'll probably get a set of extra crap that will come with your helmet that most of you just don't bother with, but these are actually quite nifty. You whack them in the rails, but you're going to want to be able to attach them to your goggles. Now you don't need to do that, and actually that is one of the advantages of a nice helmet cover over a slick helmet, is that your band will want to catch on the material, whereas it will slick straight off a regular helmet cover. But extra retention is always good, so I've made myself some Velcro tabs with just some 25mm wide Velcro with loop on one side, and then I've stitched hook onto the other to create a loop. And then, because I don't want to have my camouflage compromised by a speck of black, there is no black in nature, on my gear, I have sewn a bit of M81 onto the outside, just so I remain super duper camouflaged. Whilst I'm talking about this, it's worth noting that I put a lot of emphasis on concealment. It's great if you find a friggin' awesome bunker where you got loads of murder holes and you can shoot out of it and you're really well protected, but at the end of the day, if they can't see you, they can't shoot you, and so you're much better off not being shot at rather than trying to make those shots not hit you. So concealment is super duper important. These tabs allow me so that if I never really take these off, but if I do go to the Smith Optics or something like that and these get knocked, I'm going to retain them and I'm not going to lose them. I don't want to lose these, and oh yes, they might come off your head, but you're going to notice, yes, but you'll notice when the bloke behind you steps on them and destroys your thermal lenses. They don't make these anymore, so look after them. So in addition to that, I have my custom mod of Face Pro. This is one that I do from the Stalker Evos. The ones that clip on straight onto the helmets, they're actually pretty bad because they're too long, there's too much material. If you wear peltors, they'll cover the microphones. They're too tall, which means you can't look down, and generally it's a bit of a nightmare. So I modify these by cutting them shorter, redoing the band around the bottom, snipping down the sides so they're nice and sleek and low profile, and stitching in bungee bands so that they clip onto the helmet, stays on your face, but you can also pull it up and get it out of the way. So the ability to take your face pro off when you're a bit hot, when you're moving to and from respawn is really good. Word of advice is try and keep your lips over your teeth just in case, because people shoot dead people because they're cunts and you can lose a tooth. So if you are putting that on your head, just be mindful. You probably want to keep your gob shut. But it's nice to be able to get that breathability. Further around the back of the helmet, I've got a counterweight pouch. So for when you're super operator and you run night vision and that's super heavy, you put little weights in the back of your helmet so that it counterweights. So it's a counterweight pouch. It's pretty self-explanatory. Why do I run that? Well, to look cool, because I'm pretty cool. But also it has my name tape on the back, which is also pretty cool. But function-wise, it means that I can run a external battery pack for my GoPro. So when I hook the GoPro up to the front, I have a wire that runs all the way through the helmet cover to a mini USB connector there, and it goes all the way back to the NVG counterweight pouch with a standard USB plug here, held in with a bungee cord there. So it is actually functional and not just for looking cool. Helmet wise, I've got one of the ones that has the bike wheel adjuster that makes them fit nicely. I think as long as you get one of those, whatever helmet you get doesn't really matter. And how you set up the pads, that's up to you. Work out what works. Cool, so while I'm here, I might as well talk about why I don't run arc rail adapters. So if you're familiar with peltors, you can get arc rail adapters where you get rid of this band, and instead of, if I can click this out, instead of running your cups on the metal band with the leather cover, you run them on little adapters to hook onto the rails I mentioned earlier. Which means you can be a pretty super operator and clip them up and out the way when you don't want to wear them. Why don't I wear them? Because they're pretty cool. Looking cool is important. They're pretty friggin' expensive because you've got to get the genuine ones. I wouldn't put genuine peltors on the NAF FMA ones you see floating around. And I don't see the need for them, if I'm honest. I think you should get them if you suffer from peltor headaches. If wearing these all day, you end up getting a headache. People say with the arc rails, they're much better because you don't get that sort of pressure on the side of your head. So if you do suffer from headaches wearing these all day, they're worth getting. Or if you just have a load of money and you just want to flip them up, go for it. I don't like them because I don't get headaches, they're expensive, and it would probably encourage me to flip them up, and the whole point about personal protective equipment is that you fucking wear it, so you don't end up like Sam Musket, sitting them on your head and then complaining when grenades go off near you. So that's how I run my peltors. I've got a cover, it sits under my helmet, which means you don't friggin' see it, but it's an identifier, I can see they're mine, and they look cool. So, those are my peltors. Let's work down onto the rig. So with the rig, let's work top to bottom. How have I got everything set up? Let's go with comms. So I run a Motorola Fist mic, and then from that, through a simple headphone jack, I have a cord that goes up and connects to my peltors. You can run a Fist mic and then have a headphone jack cord that goes up to like a CIA earpiece. It doesn't matter what that goes up to, but I like the Fist mic because it's really large, hard to lose. I had it zip tied and clipped in, that has never come loose, and I've never been lost trying to find it. And it looks pretty cool. So I like the fist mic. It comes with one of these telephone cords, which some people don't like. I like them because you don't have to do as much cable management to keep track of them. I loop it through here, and I loop it through here, and the rest just fits over my grenade pouches. I've never had it come off, I've never had it snag on anything, and I've been using it for, I don't know, 6 months, I guess. And it stays put. Furthermore, the cable is thick as fuck, so if something does snag up and get in there, I've got a bit of give, and it's not going to rip like the thin cables you get on most of the radio headsets. Very prone to breakage. So not cool to break those. So that's how I run my microphone. Below that, I have a Grimlock. I think they're called Grimlocks, D-locks. Someone will correct me. One of these locks that molly in and provide a loop that clips into place to retain stuff. Really useful. I use it to retain my gloves. Not really in the field, because I don't take my gloves off in the field. I tend to not even take my gloves off during the breaks. I only take them off during lunch. But it's good to keep hold of your gloves, and these things will run away from you. I've lost one already, so now I own 3 pig gloves. And it's worth having a retainer. Furthermore, if you run HPA, you don't want this running around in the dirt and dragging and stuff like that. So having one of these helps you retain your hose as well as your gloves. Whack these back on there. So, working down, I run 3 frag pouches. Why did I choose this? It looks fucking cool. If you run frags like this, you sacrifice the chest section of your molly, and what are you going to lose there? Well, you're not going to be running rifle mags, you're probably not going to be running pistol mags. What you're sacrificing is either some other form of pyro like smoke grenades, or a holster if you're going to run Tank Commander across the chest, or an admin pouch. So why frags over those? Well, why over an admin pouch? I don't get to see a lot of use of an admin pouch. I mean, I use maps potentially the most, but an entire designated pouch taking up prime real estate on the carrier, it's just not that important. I've got pockets here in my the arms of my UBACs, and I've got nifty little pockets down here. I've got pockets for days. I have no problems carrying maps. I think the use of an admin pouch is very overstated, and I think there's a reason they're given out free with a lot of rigs, because people don't really buy them because they know that they're not that useful, but there are a lot of them floating around. So admin pouch, don't really rate it. Pistol Tank Commander. I used to run my pistol Tank Commander, and it's pretty good. It's very fast draw, and there's a whole video on me talking about that. However, I've gone to a drop belt rig now, and that's freed up space. That's no longer an issue. Different kinds of pyro smokes. So now we get to the crux of why these frag pouches are there. You don't need smokes in a hurry. It's about accessibility and what you need right fucking now. You don't need smokes right now. Well, when you're going to smoke a position, you tend to be on the offensive. You're going to be a little bit behind the line. You've got the cover and concealment to just take it easy. Go find these smokes wherever you want, where you've got them placed. They're not rapid deployment items. Frags are. When you're up close and personal, when you're getting up on a hooch or a village hut or a bunker or whatever, and you need to clear that out right now, or you've come up to a wall and you've suddenly realised the entire fucking enemy team is around the corner, you need that right fucking now. And so right there is right fucking now. So I have 3 of these, and on my extreme left, I run a impact grenade. So this is empty. As it's flush there, it means the chamber's empty, so this won't go off. I run an impact grenade. I always have it all the way on my left, which means I can operate my rifle the easiest and get to the frag. It's not a lot of difference, if I'm honest. It's just I put it on the left and I need to keep it on the left, so when I go for my BFG, I don't grab a disposable frag. But frag on the left, impact, and then these 2 I will have EG67s in, are nice disposable pea grenade pyros that are crushable, by the way, if you eat shit, so careful about that. And these are the things you need right fucking now. You can get them out with one hand, get it into a position to deploy it, and then worry about taking your weapon down or bringing it back so you can pull that pin. So that's why I run my frags up there. Why not higher? they might get, it could get in the way of things. Just looking a little bit on. Why not lower? It might impede the draw of my rifle mag, so that's why they sit there. And they look pretty slick because they match the rifle mags below. So those are the frag pouches. Right, so moving down to the front, rifle mag pouches. Pretty obvious. You want to run rifle mags. You've got a primary weapon, you're going to need some magazines for it. How are you going to house them? I might have done a video on closed top, open top pouches before, but I'll just briefly summarise now. I like closed top pouches. Why? Well, 9 times out of 10, you don't need to reload in a hurry. You are rarely going to be there like you absolutely need this mag now. You might feel like you do, and you might feel like you could get that kill. I'm talking about a defensive situation of if you don't get this mag in, you will die. Doesn't tend to happen that way. It's always better to have a faster reload, but I'm not sure it's worth compromising the retention on your magazines. I run Magpul PTS EPMs. They are 18 quid or so wholesale, 22, 25 quid retail. Not the kind of things I want to lose, and so I would like to retain them as best as possible. Furthermore, closed-top pouches prevent dust and shite getting in them a little bit better than open-top pouches and Kydex pouches. So I have to maintain these a little bit less than someone who runs open-top stuff. Closed-tops are what I go for. However, there are other times where you're going to need to be able to reload very, very quickly. And so my philosophy is the majority of your magazines should be closed-top, high retention, relatively slow reload, but you're not going to lose them or get shite in them. But you do have that option for that rapid reload, and that is where my Kydex on my belt comes in here. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I do have a rapid mag change mag, so I'm not just limited to the speed at which I can load from these Velcro pouches. Why this many? Well, I run 8 magazines. I think across the front it's symmetrical. Double stack is fine. Don't go beyond double stack, otherwise you won't be able to lie down properly. A lot of people say don't even go to double stack. If you want to buy into that, go for it. I think it's fine. I like having 8 magazines, so I have 6 in the front, 1 in the fast mag and 1 already in the gun. 8 mags is good. It allows me to have something like 1,250 loaded, something like that, which is a lot of rounds loaded. I don't like loading in the field, hate loading in the field, and I hate high caps. So this provides me with all the ammo I need without going a bit over the top. 6 across the front and 1 on the side, I don't think is too many magazines, but equally I don't think it's too many. So that is why we go for the number of mags. So why across the front? Well, much like with the frag pouches, accessibility. Magazines are something you do need pretty sharpish. While I said you don't need it right now, you want to put those in pretty accessible places. And on the front, that is nice and easy. So you can do a relatively quick reload, despite the fact you've got closed top, high retention pouches. Next up, we've got my radio. So I run my radio on the front right of my rig. Is it controversial? I guess a little bit, because the cool operator thing to do is to run your radio, your NBTIR or whatever it is, round the back. You have your cable management routing the wires over, so you have this big ass radio and this aerial coming up, and that's super cool. Problem, you can't adjust your own radio. It's gonna be janky to do. You might be able to get it out, you might be able to adjust it, you can't get it back in, you're gonna need your buddy to do that. You can knock your radio and knock it out of channel. You need to be able to sort that yourself. You're going to need to do volume checks yourself. If you're going to need to talk to another section, or for whatever reason change your channel, you need to be able to do that yourself. That's something that you need to be able to do. Getting your snacks out and getting your water out, having a buddy to do that, no problem. But a radio is something you should be self-sufficient on. So the radio needs to be accessible and round the front. However, the radio is not something that you need to access rapidly, really, really quickly, and maintain your rifle on your target. It's something that's secondary and something that's of a lower priority, which is why it's around the right. I am right-handed, which means my dominant hand is my right, and I use my rifle with it, which means the pouches which are most accessible to me with keeping my rifle on the target are central to left. Anything on the right is lower priority, so the radio is lower priority. Can I adjust my radio whilst staying on target? Probably, yeah. But it's not taking real estate up where the rapid deployment items are situated. The radio pouch I'm using is a Tactical Kit, from Tactical Kit, and it is a small adjustable radio pouch in olive drab, and it's by Tactical Tailor. Why didn't I buy Warrior Assault Systems? Because more or less, everything else I own on here is Warrior Assault Systems. I think they discontinued the OD radio pouch, Warrior. And if I'm honest, I really like this one and I would recommend it. So if you are considering a radio pouch, as much as I love Warrior and I'm a really big fan of Warrior, do have a look at this radio pouch because it suits our needs quite well, because as you can see, it's adjustable to be really, really snug on the Motorola GP3 40s, 60s and 80s that we use, and it's a really good fit for our purpose. Also, it takes up one molly space rather than the Warrior one, which takes up two, which I feel is a bit much, especially as the radio is the sort of thing that I'm mounting on the side, and as the side, your cummerbund contours to your body. So those pouches splay out a little bit, so whilst it might feel like a bit of a tight fit when you're mollying it flat on a table, it certainly fits where it is once it's on the rig, and everything's where it should be. A little bit of advice, it doesn't retain very well if you just run the top of the bungee cord from where it's situated on the pouch. It can bow out, so what I've done is I have run it through one set of molly to be a bit higher up so that it pulls the radio in when I cinch it down. I will be in the future looking to change this to an OD buckle and some OD bungee cord because, no black in nature. Except for, the radio. Yeah. But I'm not going to spray a radio. So, next up on my right are my smokes. So I spoke a little bit about my smokes earlier and said that they're not as rapid deploy as frags. They're not. So I don't need them right now, so they can be in a sort of lower priority position. These maybe are just about accessible with my left hand, so I might be able to keep my rifle on target, but when you're going to deploy a smoke, this is the kind of thing where you're going to be lobbing this at distance. You're a bit further back, you don't need to keep your rifle on the target, you've got your battle buddies around you to do that, and so you can drop your rifle on your 2-point sling, get a 2-point sling, and you can get that out with your right hand, draw the pin with your left, and then use your whole body to lob that right where you want it to go, rather than a frag, which is a little more close and personal, that you want to be able to try and do with one hand, and then go for a short distance. So that's why these are off to the right. Why don't I run these the other way around? Well, I think that would put my radio in the 3 position, so 3 away from the central flap, and that aerial would start like wanging me up in the armpit. Not great. And I think it works this way. If you want to switch these around, no problem. But I run my smokes there. At the moment, I've got a burst and a regular smoke. I carry some extra smokes, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I have 2 ready to go, and then I have 2 that I can replenish those with. So, last item on the right, before we flip to the left, is I have a single 9mm magazine pouch, and in this I have a real 226 magazine. What I have a real 226 mag, not to sling 9mm cheaters, but to sling 9mm blanks at guys I want to frag with my BFG. So 9mm blanks, they fit just about in real magazine pouches. So you can use a real magazine, like a Pez dispenser, to hold your rounds. You can get maybe 8 in there before it starts getting a bit odd and things might pop out. But you're never really going to need 8 in the field, so I run maybe 5 or so. And it allows me to keep blanks on me. It allows me to keep them contained in a magazine, not loose. A lot of sites will not let you have loose rounds because they say that you can fall funky and they could go off and stuff like that. Never heard of it happening, but having a real 226 mag is pretty cool and allows me to have everything I need on my person. Much like smokes, it is a really low priority item, so I do not need this in a hurry at all. So it is in the furthest position, it's the least accessible. I probably cannot get to it with my offhand. When I'm loading my BFGs, that's going to be a 2-hand job. I've got to take the cap off, I've got to put it in the chamber, I've got a priming rod and all that stuff. I'm going to be using 2 hands anyway, so it makes sense to put that round and out the way and leave the more prime real estate for the more high priority items. So, lastly, we have my second D hook. That's only because I run HPA, and I feel like this helps me retain my line. I'm not going to say you have to do it, because I don't even know if it's helping me at all. Ever since I ran HPA, I had that, and I haven't had much stuff snag. I feel like you only need the maneuverability on your line further up towards the front where you're working. You don't need it round the back, so there's no point for this line to be doing anything around here. So I feel like it helps me not snag on trees and stuff like that, but what the hell do I know? That wraps up that side. Over to the left. So, what do I have on my left? So, like I mentioned, the left is more rapid. It's the stuff that I need right now and stuff that I might need when I'm trying to stay on target. For me, that is my timed BFG pouch. So, it's a Warrior Assault System smoke pouch, and it's clipped in place. I do not use the Velcro. I have a cover because the clip is loud enough. I mean, I can relatively subtly deploy it, but Velcro I don't like. The bungee, the elastic straps in there, as well as how thick the grenade is and the material, retain that grenade. It's not going to fly out, so I don't feel I need that extra retention offered by the Velcro. So my grenade itself is a Dynatex. Get the Dynatex, don't get the VTG. They're poor imitation copies, if I'm honest. Yeah, if I'm honest, there's no significant difference, but people just tend to regard Dynatex a bit better. The VTGs look cooler, but the Dynatex they feel better built and more robust. That'd be my recommendation. I have a fake mag pull on the bottom. Why do I have a mag pull on a grenade? Well, it means I can run it upside down and I can get it out of my pouch way easier without looking. No fumbling and trying to grab the head or something like that. These aren't really easy to grab, especially in a sort of closed top pouch like that. I don't like running Kydex. I used to run a fast release Kydex pouch, but I found my sling would hook onto my grenade, lob it out, and then I'd spend the next 20 minutes going through the woods looking for a 50 quid bit of plastic. So closed tops are pretty cool. I've got my telephone number on it, and I basically tried to ruin it so no one's going to steal it. I have my pin. This is not live, by the way. Empty chamber. Firing pin is up. So I have my pin retained to the grenade itself with double looped bungee cord. Double loop because the first loop will come undone. And why do I do that, and why do I not have it attached to my rig? Well, it's because I like the ability to take this out and do whatever I want with it, or give it to someone. I like the freedom and not being tethered to the rig. Furthermore, I don't trust one-handed deployment of pulling against that retainer, and I feel like I'm less likely to lose my pin when it's attached to the grenade than when it was attached to me by an inferior method of retention. And if I lose my pin, probably lost my grenade, so I don't need a pin. So it's got just about enough give so that I can withdraw it, but it stays neatly out of the way. Furthermore, why do I like having a pin on there? Well, when you do the duck grenade trick and you lob this around the corner at strike force, it's a lot more believable when the grenade comes tubing around the corner and the pin comes behind it. And if you are throwing a live grenade as a dud grenade, you can keep your pin in your grenade, not tethered to your body. Lob it around the corner. You guys run, you come around, ice a couple of them, pick up the grenade, pull the pin out, and then frag the survivors who aren't going to fall for the same trick twice. So that is how I set up my BFG, and it is here on the left side because it is a rapid item. When I decide I want a BFG, I want it right now. I don't want to take my firing hand off. I want to get it out with the left hand, maneuver it so I can get the safety pin towards me, and pull it out and deploy it very, very quickly. So that is why the frag pouch is located there. Above it, I have my tourniquet. I will never use it. No, I will never use it. I'm never going to use it. We don't deal with IEDs. There aren't any boo-boos we're going to have to deal with that are going to need that sort of thing. If you have a tourniquet, don't use it. You're not trained to use it. It's just to look freaking cool and to be super operator. But if this were the real lives and not the pew-pew fake Airsoft, then this is a decent enough place to run it because you want it visible, so that you're the guy who's missing a leg, and the medic or the first guy who comes to find you in the 7 seconds you have before you lose consciousness, he can see your tourniquet immediately and he can get that pretty quick, wang it out and get it on you. Is it a super duper slick way of retaining it? Not really. This is a belt strap with Velcro and a malice clip. It's what I had to hand. It does the job. If you want something really slick, go for the blue false gear. TQ now, TQ ASAP, I don't know what they call it. It's pretty cool. It sits on my rig. It doesn't weigh very much, and it's neat to have. Make sure you get genuine ones though. Even though people say, well, it's just for show, I'm never going to use it, I think there's something fundamentally wrong with counterfeit emergency medical equipment. So don't buy it. Next up, I have my utility pouch. Well, why do I have this? Because on the left side you say, that's my rapid stuff. What do you want from your rapid utility pouch? Yeah, well, you got me there. It's probably just because the dynamic of if I took this and I put this over to the right and replaced maybe my smokes, it would be, the smokes would be in positions 3 and 4, and it wouldn't be easily accessible. It's just how I have it set up. Yes, I probably need smokes a bit more rapid than I need anything with my utility pouch. However, you don't tend to need smokes that rapidly, so it's really just up to you once you get around here, because you are getting into inaccessibility, because that is position 3, 4, and 5 for this utility pouch. What do I put in it? Not a lot. You do not need 2 utility pouches. You do not need 2 general purpose pouches. How much general purpose crap are you carrying that you need 2 small utility pouches for them? So I run 1, and it's almost always basically empty. I run my BFG priming rod in here, retained to a tan radio retainer. Why tan? Well, it's what I got. And also it's nice so that when it starts off around my kit, it doesn't blend as well, and so I can see it, and so I can get it and I can stow it away. But this means that I can reprime my grenade on the fly, and I can ditch it and be okay with that and not lose it. These are actually reasonably expensive to replace if you're not savvy at chopping off the end of a screwdriver and generally a dimple into it. So I'd really rather not lose this. I also have a set of keys, and those are the keys to my rifle case. So if as long as I got my carrying, I can get into my rifle case. I have a backup set of keys, but these are always handy to have. And so that goes into my utility pouch. Also will end up in my utility pouch is probably my quick detach suppressor. It's called quick detach, it's not. So the suppressor goes in my utility pouch. Why is that? I don't have a suppressor pouch. I'd like a suppressor pouch, I would. And people say, well, why the hell do you need a suppressor pouch? You're getting a bit ridiculous. You've got too many pouches. You just want more pouches. Yes, I want more pouches. I want to look really friggin' cool. But I take my suppressor on and off a lot. Because I like to run my suppressor because I'm running HPA and my gun is deadly silent. When I'm outdoor, big open game days, Spartan Airsoft gunman easily, nice open areas, I'm not going to be hindered too much by it. That's super awesome. However, when I end up in a situation really close quarters, or when I'm trying to get behind a bit of cover that's really tight and I know that the end of my gun is going to give away my position and we're on the offensive and I don't really need that suppressed element of surprise, I like to take it off. Also at sites that very rapidly go from outdoor to indoor, it's nice to be able to take it off. Yes, mine is not the fastest. And it's nice to be able to put it somewhere properly. The utility pouch doesn't really work for me. It just about barely fits, and it's a bit janky to do up, especially trying to do it one-handed. So a suppressor pouch for me would work. Fuck knows where I put it. Try and work that out. But one general purpose pouch is good. You should have one because you're going to have some in. your sight's going to friggin' snap off and you're going to want to put it somewhere. You're going to want to take your Snickers bars. You're going to want to take your crayons if you're a Marine. I don't think I can pull off that joke at all. So it's good to have a general purpose pouch. That is the sum of the front and sides of the carrier. Let's go to the rear. So back here, I've got a load of friggin' shit, and it's worth every penny. So top to bottom, I have a Warrior Assault Systems 40mm pair pouch, and those hold extra smoke grenades. Why do you have those? Well, I got the Tactical Tailor ones around the front because they didn't make these anymore, and then I was able to pick up a set of these second hand. Then I couldn't bring myself to sell the Tactical Tailor. I'm a hoarder, it's a problem. However, at big game days, you tend to actually need more smokes than you do frags. I tend to find. Smokes are things you actually have to consume quite a lot of to have a good effect. 2 smokes will tend to do a push, and you tend to do more than 1 push, especially when you're on the offensive in a game day. So more smokes is better. I don't like bunging them into the bottom of a pouch, especially one that I'm zipping and unzipping, and I might leave that open or something like that. I like to retain them properly, and I also like them available to other people. So having them on my back is nice and open. Someone can come grab them off me if I tell them to, or I can get a buddy to give me them and replenish my front supply. So those sit nicely there and provide just that bit of extra support smoke-wise. These pouches actually have these bungees on the bottom, and I can see when I have my smokes in them sometimes, they kind of bow to the side and maybe they'll fall out. I don't know, they'll probably be fine. I've got a water bottle in there, they'll probably stay put. So those are my smoke grenade pouches. Below it, as I just mentioned, water bottle pouch, canteen. Why don't I run a hydration carrier? I'm fucking stupid. I don't know. A little bit of I don't have a hydration carrier pack. Well, I have the facilities to take the bladder, but I don't have the bladder, and I haven't been asked with setting that up yet. But a little bit of it's just nice to be able to drink water rather than suck like a hamster from a little friggin' teat. And it also allows you to give water to other people and not have to share your herpes as much. A canteen's nice. Sharing is caring. Stay hydrated. Hydrate or die. So I have my canteen back here. I've got to get a buddy to come and grab it for me, and then he drinks about as much of it as I do. And so 1 litre of water ends up with half a litre for me. But hey, it's all about supporting your battle buddies. So I have a water canteen at the back. It's not a problem, and the weight there offsets my air tank, which will be in here. So I've got a Warrior Assault Systems cargo pack. Great packs. They've got a divider on the inside, a waterproof divider for a bladder, and so you can put stuff in there, stuff in the bladder, and then more stuff down here. What do I use it for? Just to carry the air tank. I have the option to put snacky dibbles and whatever the hell you want in there for longer games or potentially milsim stuff. The option is there. I don't use it at the moment, but it's a very sturdy way to carry my tank. I like it because these straps mean that you can cinch it down, and so your air tank stays put and doesn't wangle around, because that really will tire you out. If your energy is going into throwing that tank up, and then it's going to come down and drag you down, you're going to get pretty tired pretty quick. So that is my back. My belt rig starts with my holster on the right. I have a fold-over, one-piece Deviant Concepts HW holsters, Kydex holster for my 226 with G&P N3 light. It's pretty shite light that I've just sort of committed to now, and I am going to change it up to a Surefire X300 replica, simply because it's a bit sleeker, a bit more reliable, it's cool. And looking cool is important. But for now I've got my G&P, and so I've got my holster to match it. Won't go into, there's a whole video on why I've chosen the 226, so I won't go into that. But my Kydex holster sits on a Black Hawk duty mount. And those are great because while they're made for belts, you can unscrew them and you can cinch them over 3 rows of molly, so I can have it on my molly belt. It drops down a little bit, which is nice, so it's accessible but not too far. You're not reaching for it, and it's not on your leg, offsetting you and putting a bit too much weight on one side. It's just where you need it. Problems with it, when I sling my rifle funky and I get a bit of extra slack on this, there is the chance of this coming underneath the holster and pulling up like that. So that's something I'm going to have to solve by maybe drilling a couple of holes down here and running a leg strap to prevent the airline coming underneath it. But something you should be aware of if you're running a holster that drops down and provides a hook, that can happen. Additionally, it is does have potential for this line to come underneath the pistol, and as I go to aim my rifle, can pull the pistol out of the holster. Only happened once, and I was aware it was going to happen, but I needed to make the shot, so I let it happen, got the shot, and then dealt with the muddy pistol later. That, I suppose, is not really a criticism of the holster placement as such, and more something to work out with the line and maybe add some extra levels of retention, because my holster is only retained by the friction of the kydex and not with a hood or with a breech lock or anything like that. So that's how I run my holster. I don't have anything else on this side because I'm not going to be reaching that far back. I don't have anything that I need from that far back. I don't want anything to impede my draw. It cants down and out enough that nothing gets in the way when I draw it, and it's silly to run pistol mags or something on the other side because you're leaning over to reload. So that's why I've only got a pistol on that side of my rig. On the other side, I have two closed-top pistol mag pouches. So I run 3 mags, 1 in the pistol and 2 on the belt. I think 3 mags is generally the optimal amount. You can get 20 to 25 rounds in your pistol, so that's 60 to 75 rounds. That's more than enough, especially if it's a cold day and they're not functioning too well, or one of your mags vents or something like that. It's nice to have those extra ones. And I run them in closed-top pouches, much like the rifle mags, because pistol mags are even more temperamental to shit getting in them. So it's nice to have them closed up so that crap doesn't get in that spring, crap doesn't get in your valve, crap doesn't get through them. These are low down and on your belt. Why do I run them on the belt and not on my carrier? Well, it means that my pistol and its magazines are all on one unit. If I can ditch the whole belt, then I ditch all the peripheral items. I don't have mags up here and the pistol down here. It means that I can chop and change. The stuff I have on my carrier has a reason to be there, and I've kind of run out of space in my carrier, so that's why those are there. But now they are there on the belt. Lower down, the lower down your stuff gets, the more likely it is to get filled with crap. So I suppose the more pertinent it is that I have a high retention, decent enough seal on my magazine pouches, so I get less crap in them. Because it's really important to keep those clean with lots of moving parts on the pistol. However, I don't have a rapid mag change for my pistol like I do for my rifle. So that is a hindrance, and potentially in the future I might look into turning one of these into a kydex one, so I do have an absolutely rapid mag change, and then have the second one being retained a little bit better. However, like with the rifle mags, it's quite expensive, 25 quid or so, and I don't really want one to be bumped out. So potentially something I'd look into, but for now, it kind of works for me. Then further around the side, I have the HW Holsters 2-piece M4 magazine pouch with the funky holes so you can mount it at kooky angles or upside down if you want. I have it right way up because, yeah, you can go for that super cool, funky reload, but I just feel like I want to retain this. I don't totally trust kydex, but this way up with my pouches constantly giving it reinforcement back into its position and me leaning and stuff like that, I feel like it's not going to go anywhere. I haven't lost a mag yet, and touch wood, and hopefully I never will, so it works for me, but that's an option for you. You can flip it around, put it on the side. There are funky Velcro mag carriers that you can Velcro into the back of your carrier that have 2 mags out to the side. So reloading from the side, it's a thing people do, something I haven't looked into. But for me, this works. You might say, well, it's actually touching one of your pouches. Yeah, it is. This rig fits on me a little bit different than it does Lieutenant Dan, because I'm not as chiseled and as sexy as Lieutenant Dan, so I've got a bit more space to work with. So I've got a bit more space there, but when I go to grab this magazine, I can pull it away and out, so the reload is not interfered with the pouches. I've never had those get in the way. Something to point out is that I actually rarely use this magazine for a rapid reload. Why is that? Because it's a fairly recent addition to my kit. That has only been here for maybe 6 months or so. The closed-top magazine pouches around the front, I've been running those for years, absolutely years, and so I'm very used to them and I'm reasonably fast with reloading with them. So that's my go-to in a pinch when I just go for a reactionary reload. I don't go for that Kydex, I go for those front ones. Something I need to train past, but what it is useful for is when I'm ate shit, I'm in the dirt, I'm in a tiny foxhole, I'm in a tiny bit of cover that I can barely move in. I don't have the maneuverability to lift myself up and work with Velcro and stuff like that. Or Velcro, because this is a lot quieter to Velcro. So I tend to use this as a slow reload, but as a purposeful reload that's very specific to the situation that I'm in. So just how you use it is just up to you, but I like having it there. It's good to have it as an option, and allows me to carry an extra magazine. What else do I need to fucking talk about? I think that's it. That's it.